To everyone who might be even a little offended by anything that I'm going to say, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. By the time you reach the end, I think you'll understand my pain if you don't relate to it, because I think I've also learned a lesson. But even if you don't understand that pain, it's completely okay. You can abuse me, you can blame me, feel free to call me whatever names that you want. Everything in the comments, it's completely fine, because I finally watched Thug Life. This was a film that was supposed to save or restore my mental health. It was supposed to make me fall back in love with movies. And in short, I feel like a very, very, very close friend has stabbed me in the back. I feel like over the last couple of months, I've betrayed myself, and also, strangely, I also feel a sudden huge amount of respect for Lokesh Kanagaraj. But first, I just have a lot of questions for the makers. What was the core of the film and why did you deviate from it? In this interview with Anupama Chopra, Kamal Haasan talks about the core of Thug Life being the pointlessness or the futility of violence. This is a great theme to set a film around, and we've seen films like Ram Gopal Varma's Satya or Anurag Kashyap's Gangs of Wasseypur also dealing with the same theme. Both very, very different films, but what they have in common is that they focus completely on the inner world of gangsters and their lives. Their families, their relationships, their inside jokes, their morning routines. While watching these films, you realize that these gangsters are not very different from us. They are people just like us, but on the other side of the law. And when you spend more than 2 hours with these people, they start feeling like your friends or family. And then when they engage in violence, if they kill someone, you feel bad, you feel like they've done something wrong, but at the same time, you also understand or empathize with their actions. And when something bad happens to them, you realize the real pointlessness of all this violence. There's this Mahatma Gandhi quote that comes in the beginning of Anurag Kashyap's Black Friday. It goes something like, "An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind." And these films make us feel that by the end credits, but Thug Life, it feels like they studied really hard for the exam, but they came and sat for the wrong subject. Take Mani Ratnam's own films like Bombay. You see two kids running and crying on the street in the middle of all the riots. That shot is enough to make you understand how pointless all this hatred, all this violence is. And even Thug Life starts the same way with this huge, big black and white action set piece where a betrayal sets off this shootout, and in the middle of all that, in the middle of all the gunshots, you can hear and see a couple of kids crying. And for a few seconds, there's this small, tiny expression on Kamal Haasan's face, his character's face, when he realizes, what is this life? What the f*** is the point of all this violence? This sets up a really strong emotional core, and you think the rest of the film is going to just top this, but what happened to this concept called character arc? If you've not seen this film already, please go and watch this film called The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, because I feel that there are glimpses of that film in Thug Life as well. In Last Samurai, Tom Cruise is this American soldier. He's an alcoholic, he has a violent past, and he's sent to Japan to train the modern imperial army to fight against the samurai. And he accepts this job, mainly he wants to escape his past, and it pays a lot of money, so he accepts it. But as he spends more time in Japan, as he spends more time with the samurai, his mind, his thoughts, his spirit, his entire character goes complete change. And towards the end, he is completely on the opposite side of where he started from, and he realizes which side he should be fighting for and which side he should be fighting against. This is called a character arc, and I'm not saying every movie has to do the same thing. But if you're promising something like the pointlessness of violence in the beginning of the film in all your promotional material, the basic expectation as an audience is that you're going to see a character change from point A to point B, or from one side to the other, and realizing that theme for himself. But once again, nothing. What begins as a film with a strong premise, with a strong theme, just becomes just another revenge story in the second half. The interval block is supposed to be the point where this betrayal happens. And seeing the trailer, you know exactly what you're going to get. Even Kamal has said in all his interviews that Thug Life is about this man who you think is dead, but he's not. And we've seen the same thing in Vikram as well, but you know how that film was executed. But here, firstly, that interval block, which was supposed to shock us to the core and really feel the betrayal between those characters, is so basic, it's so underwhelming. Okay, we'll forgive that. But post the interval, the least you expect is the protagonist to go through the experience of fighting through the betrayal, fighting his past demons, while his body heals with the help of the strangers who rescued him and trying to help him out. You think this entire experience will change him as a person, and when he comes back, you think his newly transformed character will change the world around him, but once again, It becomes just another revenge drama which glorifies the same violence that it was fighting against in the first place. During every passing second half of the film, I felt my heart breaking a little more, a little more, a little more until it reached a point where I just started laughing in pain. What was the point of the Yakuza reference? In both the title teaser and Vinveli Nayaga, the word Yakuza is mentioned, which got me really excited. Yakuza basically means the mafia in Japan. As a fan who has watched a few Japanese films and also anime, and also knowing that Mani Ratnam is a huge Kurosawa fan himself, yes, maybe it's my fault that I got a little too excited because of that one word. It's my fault that I thought there could be an actual connection between the film and the actual Yakuza, but the crime syndicate of Rangaraya Saktivel, which is supposed to be one of the most feared gangs in Delhi, is just gangsters for dummies 101. No depth, no style. You just see Simbu's character like a neighborhood chain snatcher in the beginning of the film, where he just slashes someone's throat on the road. He's shooting someone in the head for no reason, just because there's a cool Pal Daba track playing in the background, which is supposed to make him look mass. Let's go back 20 years again to Mani Ratnam's own Aayedezhuthu. Just see how he introduces Madhavan's character Inba to all of us just a few moments before he is going to kill someone. It's just the inside of a moving car, two gangsters talking to each other, having a completely unrelated conversation, which then leads to a shootout, and that's it. You get exactly the kind of criminal that Inba is, and you are truly scared of him right in the first scene of the film. What was the point of the action scenes? I actually want to write an open letter to whoever can make this happen. Please ban the use of Mokobot in Indian movies. We've seen enough. Thank you. This is something that Lokesh Kanagaraj keeps talking about. He says that an action scene has to be treated like a drama. There has to be a beginning, middle, and an end, and there needs to be a reason for that action, that violence to exist in the first place. How stylish it looks, whether it's a single shot or razor fast cuts or a slow motion shot, or all of that is extra. It's like the decoration on top of a cake or the fried onions on top of the biryani. Apart from that opening scene and that one car chase sequence in the first half, the rest of the action scenes just feel like you're filling an exam paper with just a lot of words because you don't know the actual answer and you think the teacher is going to look at the length of the answer and give you extra marks, but the world is not that stupid. What happens to Rahman when it comes to the background score? After years, I got this full meals kind of an album from Rahman. There is just so much variety in terms of genre. There are few songs like Jingacha, which plays to Instagram Reels. At the same time, you have something like Anjuvanna Puve, you have Vinveli Nayaga, you have Muttamari, so many great songs from different genres. And all of this really raised the hype meter of the film, but the background score, all the themes that came in the title teaser, to the trailer, to the making video that they released last night, all of those tracks were absolute bangers. They had a lot of potential to just explode on screen and really elevate the characters who appeared on screen, but they either feel misplaced or they are completely left out on the edit table. The background score that does exist in the final edit, it goes against everything that I think Rahman stands for, which is being generic AF. Fine, let's forgive this point. You could have edited so many scenes out of the film, but you chose to edit a song like Muttamare, which is not there in the film. And then you have a song like Vinveli Nayaga. You make me imagine a high adrenaline anime style action sequence on steroids, but the point that you use it at is after all the hope is lost. This is what the phrase wasted potential really means. Where is my money? I don't mean my ticket money, I mean my Mani Ratnam, whose work I have worshipped, I have argued for, I have fought for against his haters in my circle. To a certain extent, you can see the glimpses of the OG Mani Ratnam in the first half of Thug Life, but that's it. Just a few glimpses. But the same tropes that used to be his strength have become a spoof of themselves. Women written by Mani Ratnam is an actual thing, and we respect him for that. And I think he's the gold standard in at least Indian cinema on how to portray strong women or even flawed women. Or the basic requirement is that they at least have a strong part in the story to play, but not in Thug Life. The role of female characters in this film is as important as the word Yakuza in this film. 0. Another strength or a Mani Ratnam trademark is how he writes or underwrites dialogues. And most times the characters say so much without saying anything at all. The most difficult part about Thug Life, especially the second half, is just scene after scene of exposition. The scene with Simbu and Trisha at the beach, the scene with Simbu and Nasser on a boat, or any scene with Kamal's character with pretty much any actor that he met that day, whoever was unlucky to have met him. How many words can you say without getting to the point? Yes. Maybe the actors were paid salaries on word to word basis, I don't know. Just continuous, unengaging conversation one after the other, which could have just been trimmed or written better or just avoided completely, like how they avoided putting effort into the screenplay. Because we're not talking about any new filmmaker here. When that kid asks Velu Nayakar, Neenga Nallavara Kettavara, when Surya tells the kid in a goods vandila toogi pottita, or that simple train proposal scene in Alaipaide. Forget the dialogues. There is so much that Mani Ratnam has done just using an actor's hand in the frame without saying anything else. In Bombay, there's a shot of the riots in the background, and in the foreground, you see a child's hand slowly coming out, reaching out for something. In Iruvar, one man holds another man's hand and he slowly raises it up as if to address a crowd. Love, heartbreak, intimacy, friendship, power, vulnerability, any emotion that you take, Mani Ratnam's words or the lack of words have the ability to cut like a knife and make you feel something. The dialogues in Thug Life also feel like a knife, but just imagine a really blunt knife slowly cutting on an old hard piece of wood for 16 hours to make a single 2-inch deep cut. You see how long I'm taking just to explain this? That's how the second half of Thug Life feels like. Maybe I've been brutally honest, maybe I've been offensive, I don't know. And the final question I want to ask is it my fault? I have not posted a single YouTube video for many months, almost 6 months, because there's a lot of stuff going on in personal, professional life. And because of that, I also kind of fell out of love with movies. But last night, I tweeted this: Thug Life being good and winning is going to improve my mental health, and I can't explain. From the time Thug Life was announced that the big daddies of cinema are going to come back together after 40 years after making one of the most legendary Tamil films to ever exist. You can blame me, but it gave me hope. The past 2 months were especially tough on me, and I know it's not any filmmaker or actor's responsibility to make me feel better. But this project, it gave me some kind of hope that in a time like this, especially in a weird time like this for Indian cinema, where everything is a remake or a spin-off or a franchise and films are being made like Instagram reels and still people are not coming to the theaters that much, it gave me a little hope that the longest sustaining artists in the Indian film industry are going to step in and show the rest of the kids how it's done. I hope that this film is going to change a lot of things. I believed that this film will be the one that gets me back into love with films. And until last night, I really believed that Thug Life was going to break the internet, break the competition, break every record, but the only thing it broke was my heart. Maybe there is a life lesson here for myself, for anyone who's watching this, to not put so much of your expectations and faith in artists and films and filmmakers to restore your own mental health, and instead put some of that faith in yourself.